was raised in a house of Sunday, won't even call it Sunday Christians, holiday Christians. We would go to church on, kind of never. There was never a really overwhelming church presence and kind of founding of belief in Jesus kind of as a cornerstone for our family. So having been brought up that way, there was never really a strong presence of, approaching relationships from this kind of godly perspective. It was very much, relationships were much more of a physical thing. There's an emotional, physical type of a thing, but there was never this spiritual component to them. I was exposed to pornography at a very young age. I had stumbled across, a family member who inadvertently had exposed me to it. Enter high school. I met this young lady, fell absolutely in love with her. Definitely not with the expectation of pursuing a longer-term relationship, but that's ultimately where it went. And throughout that time, pornography was definitely very present in my life. And it was something that I knew deep in my heart, I knew that she wouldn't necessarily be okay with, but it was just easier to kind of keep it under the rug. Nobody brought it up. It wasn't really a topic that we talked about a lot, but it was definitely not something that I would, bring the subject up and have an open conversation with her about it. March 2014, asked Stacy to be my wife, so we got engaged. The following June, I was on a motorcycle and I was in a pretty horrific motorcycle accident. One of the distinct memories I have is laying in the hospital, and one of the first thoughts that runs through my head is, I need to kick this pornography thing. Okay, great, you're strong for a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks, but ultimately, old bad habits ensue. Definitely wasn't looking at the root cause. Not too long after we got married, Stacy caught me looking at pornography one night. I told her that was the first time, just curious, just checking it out, whatever, it's not a big deal, won't happen again. Then it wasn't too long after that she caught me again.
My heart was devastated. I feel like it was even beating differently. This was not a conversation that I felt like we would ever have to have. It never crossed my mind that this would be an issue. We'd been married 1.5 years, and I thought life was supposed to be good. I knew it wasn't going to be butterflies and sunshine all the time, but I didn't know that it would be this hurtful. I grew up in a Christian home, and my first thought was, God is the only one that can help us through this, which is why I told him, maybe you just need Jesus.
I'm thinking, oh, well, that's what church is for. It's to make people good. And so I'll go to church and I'll get good, and then we'll be a happy married couple again. Got involved with Celebrate Recovery, and through that process, it changed my whole perspective from that church is for good people and church makes people good to this is the piece of my life that's been missing. This relationship with Jesus has been missing my whole life, and I need this.
He worked in both of our hearts, and he said to me, here's some issues I want to work on with you, and Chris, here's some issues we need to work through. And he lovingly and gently worked in each of our hearts to help us become the people that we need to be and the man and woman we need to be in our marriage.
In learning how to be open with her, that remains as kind of the main piece that keeps the trust alive. That we know that, when issues come up, when struggles happen, that we're open with each other about it because we know we're not going to condemn each other. God is at the middle of this. God is in control of this. And God needs for me to be honest about this so that we can get through this, because this isn't something He wants in my life. No matter how much fear is there, no matter how scary it is, it's something that God wants to take away from you. He wants to take that burden away from you. And whatever the worst case scenario is that could be imagined, He has so much more planned for you than that.